Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Gold to find support at $1,946.50 ahead of U.S. retail sales. ntvforex.com news ID 6BA7944 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. Gold XAU USD extended Wednesday pullback and recovered nearly $200 from 3-week lows to end Thursday higher at $1,953.60. The yellow continues to tread water around $1,950 region heading into the critical U.S. retail sales report this Friday, as has found support at $1,946.50, and Forex Dwani Meta reports. NBSP kiwi a weaker than expected rise in the U.S. retail sales data could reignite economic recovery concerns and down the dollar, which could possibly bode well for gold. Meanwhile, the bright metal could also benefit, as investors are likely to remain risk-averse amid the U.S. fiscal impasse and ahead of the key U.S.-China trade talks, scheduled on Saturday. AA gold ranges within a potential rising wedge formation on the hourly, clinging firmly onto the solid support at $1,946.50, which the convergence of the rising trend line and upward sloping 21-hourly simple moving average HMAAA. The hourly RSI inches slightly higher at 54.80, holding well above the midline. This suggests that the price could bounce back to test the bearish 100 HMA at $1,964.50. Acceptance above that level is critical to confirm the bullish reversal from the recent brutal sell-off. Further north, the rising trend line resistance $1,972 will be next on the buyer-saw radars. A fresh rally could be triggered on a break above the latter, opening doors for a test of the horizontal 200 HMA barrier at $19.97 AA to the downside. The bearish continuation pattern will get confirmed on an hourly closing below the above-mentioned critical support at $1,946.50. The next downside target is aligned at $1,933, the horizontal 50 HMA, which is the level to beat for the bears. Sellers will then eye a test of $1,907 support on its way to the round figure of $1,900 a NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. AUD/USD looks to extend the bounce above 0.7150 ahead of U.S. retail sales. ntvforex.com news ID F8A3715 minutes ago by Dwani Meta. AUD/USD bounces as the US dollar drops with Treasury yields. Gains in the S&P 500 futures also underpin the Aussie dollar. Dismal Chinese data could cap the gains ahead of U.S. retail sales. Fresh selling seen in the US dollar alongside the Treasury yields appears to put a fresh bid under AUD/USD, as the rates jump back above the 0.7150 barrier. The spot consolidated below the latter almost through the Asian trades amid a cautious market mood, as disappointing Chinese activity numbers and resurgence of the coronavirus cases dampened appetite for riskier assets. Heading into Europe, the greenback ran through fresh offers, as the Treasury yields retreat following the overnight advance led by weak U.S. bond auction. The renewed strength in the S&P 500 futures also seemed to bode well for the higher-yielding Aussie. From a short-term technical perspective, the uptick in the Aussie can be associated with a breakthrough the critical resistance at 0.7155, the convergence of the 21, 50, and 100 hourly simple moving averages HMA. The hourly RSI has jumped back above the midline into the bullish region, suggesting more room for upside. Therefore, the price could extend the advance to test the next powerful resistance at 0.7170, where the horizontal 200 HMA and falling trend line resistance meet. To the downside, the daily low of 0.7133 could offer immediate cushion, below which the falling trend line support at 0.7129 will be put to test. All eyes now remain on the U.S. retail sales data and U.S.-China trade talks for fresh trading impetus. AUD/USD hourly chart. AUD USD additional levels. AUD USD overview today. Last price 0.7159 today. Daily change 0.0011 today. Daily change percent 0.15 today. Daily open 0.7148 NBSP trends. Daily SMA 20 0.7139 daily SMA 50 0.7011 daily SMA 100 0.6723 daily SMA 200 0.6711 NBSP levels. Previous daily high 0.7189 previous daily low 0.7135 previous weekly high 0.7244 previous weekly low 0.7076 previous monthly high 0.7228 previous monthly low 0.6876 daily Fibonacci 38.2% 0.7156 daily Fibonacci 61.8% 0.7168 daily pivot point S1 0.7126 daily pivot point S2 0.7103 daily pivot point S3 0.7072 daily pivot point R1 0.718 daily pivot point R2 0.7211 daily pivot point R3 0.7234 NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. New SP500 record high today. Analysis http ntvforex.com news ID 77/0/58/14/2026 33:51 positive surprise in US retail sales could trigger equity gains. More support measures still needed for US economy. Soft spots remain in China's recovery. US-China trade talks, US stimulus developments may sway gold prices. Global investors have been reluctant so far to send benchmark stock indices to new record highs since the global pandemic, despite coming tantalizingly close. Asian stocks are now mixed, with regional indices pulling the MSCI Asia Pacific Index further away from its January 20 closing level, despite yesterday coming within less than 4 points of that record high. However, the S&P 500 could have another shot at posting its highest ever close today with US stock futures in the green at the time of writing. It could all come down to the July US retail sales data release later today. Considering that the figures from May and June beat market consensus, a third consecutive positive surprise might just get the S&P 500 over the line in setting a new record high. Given the US economy's reliance on domestic consumption, retail sales must demonstrate a sustainable recovery in order to spur risk sentiment onto greater heights and further embolden equity bulls. US economic data NBSP have been surprising to the upside of late, the most recent example being Thursday's weekly jobless claims, which fell below the 1 million mark for the first time since March. Still, looking at the broader picture, these jobless figures remain very elevated compared to pre-pandemic levels, which necessitates additional economic support from policymakers. The positive data could prove fleeting if major countries cannot get a firm grip on the pandemic or if policymakers pull back on their respective support measures too soon, while noting that the road ahead still holds downside risks for the global economy. NBSP Chinese economy still finding its footing. China's economy continues to take strides into the post-pandemic era, even if some soft spots remain. July's industrial production grew 4.8% year-on-year, matching June's expansion rate, while retail sales disappointed markets as they contracted by 1.1% compared to the same month in the year prior. Property investments last month posted a better-than-expected reading of 3.4% year-on-year. As China continues to lead the way past the pandemic, so this bolsters hopes that the global recovery can stay the course and justify the stellar gains in stock markets since March. NBSP US-China talks, US stimulus in focus. Global investors will also be on the lookout for how the US-China trade talks unfold over the coming days, as both economic powerhouses check in with each other regarding their Phase 1 trade deal. At the same time, markets will be keeping an eye on whether the stalemate surrounding the next round of US fiscal stimulus can be broken, even though the better-than-expected readings on the US economy could buy Congress more time. Still, should either of these events take a negative turn, traders may upend attempts to register new record equity highs, while paving the way for gold to rebound back above the $2,000 mark. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. NZD USD RBNZ plan for lower and flatter yield curve hits the kiwi AANZ http ntvforex.com news ID 1D5CA3 4 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. The USD has popped higher, helping drive the kiwi lower as NZGB yields sink below their US counterparts, per NZ Bank. NZD USD drops to the 0.6540 region, down 0.1% on a day, amid Friday AS trading. NBSP key quotes A. The kiwi is on a losing streak as the USD recovers and US interest rates firm. That contrasts with the sharp move lower in NZ bond yields yesterday that took most NZGB yields below US equivalents, eradicating the yield premium that once existed here. The NZ-US 10YR spread was around 40 a month ago, ETA-S now around just below zero. A prospects for a lower and flatter yield curve here, or at least lower and flatter than would have otherwise been the case, will likely continue to weigh on the kiwi. AA support 0.6450, resistance 0.6755. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. GBP USD Analysis bulls struggle to find acceptance above 1.3100 mark. Analysis http ntvforex.com news ID C0962D8142026 37:55 AM. Sustained USD selling assisted GBP USD to gain some strong positive traction on Thursday. Upbeat US employment data, surging US bond yields provided some respite to the USD bulls. The US fiscal impasse kept a lid on the attempted USD rebound and extended some support. The GBP-USD pair gained some strong positive traction on Thursday and recovered further from the key 1.3000 psychological mark, or over one-week lows set in the previous session. The positive move was exclusively sponsored by the prevalent offered tone surrounding the US dollar, which remained depressed in the wake of the impasse over the next round of the US fiscal stimulus. The pair surged past the 1.3100 round figure mark, albeit struggled to capitalize on the move and ran out of the steam just ahead of the weekly tops. Data released from the US showed that initial weekly jobless claims dropped below 1 million for the first time since the start of the pandemic, offering signs of the US economic recovery. This, coupled with an intraday spike in the US Treasury bond yields, provided some respite to the USD. Adding to this, a cautious mood around the US equity markets drove some haven flows towards the greenback and prompted some selling at higher levels. The pair finally settled around 60 pips off daily tops but managed to regain some positive traction during the Asian session on Friday. The suspension of talks for COVID-19 stimulus measures in the US and the fact that the Senate will not return this month unless negotiators strike an agreement held investors from placing any aggressive USD bullish bets. This, in turn, was seen as a key factor that assisted the pair to edge higher for the second consecutive session. Moving ahead, market participants now look forward to a duo of important US macro data for some impetus. Friday's U.S. economic docket highlights the release of monthly retail sales and Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index for August, which might influence the USD price dynamics and produce some meaningful trading opportunities on the last day of the week. Short-term technical outlook. From a technical perspective, the overnight positive move pushed the pair beyond a one-week-old descending trend line resistance. However, the lack of any strong follow-through buying warrants some caution before placing fresh bullish bets. That said, a sustained strength back above the 1.3100 mark will shift the near-term bias back in favor of bulls and lift the pair further beyond the 1.3125 region, or weekly tops. Bulls might then aim to test monthly swing highs, around the 1.3185 region. Some follow-through buying beyond the 1.3200 level will set the stage for a move towards reclaiming the 1.3300 round figure mark. On the flip side, any subsequent pullback might continue to attract some dip buying and remain limited near the 1.3000 mark. This is closely followed by support near the 1.2980 region, which if broken decisively will negate the bullish outlook and prompt some aggressive technical selling. This might turn the pair vulnerable to accelerate the fall towards the 1.2900 mark before en route the next major support near the 1.281510 region. The latter marks the previous swing high resistance breakpoint and should act as a key pivotal point for short-term traders. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD MXN to reach the 24 level again before year is out. A Rabobank ntvforex.com news ID DE64011 minutes ago by NTV Forex team Bangzako cut rates 50 BP to 4.50% as was widely expected. Market reaction was fairly muted, although MXN retraced some of the rally heading into the meeting and the front end now prices in a much higher probability of a 50 BP cut next month. USD MXN is currently trading at 22.15 and economists at Rabobank think the peso will outperform most of its LATAM peers, but USD MXN is likely to hit the 24 handle again before the year is out. Key quotes: A Bangzako cut rates 50 BP to 4.50% in a decision that was widely expected. In the aftermath of today's meeting, the market moved to price in a greater chance of a 50 BP cut in September, and it is likely many more analysts will move into that camp as well. We maintain our view that we may see another 100 BP of cuts this year, and the statement allows us to have higher conviction about that call. Even if our call for cuts down to 3.50% come to fruition, MXN would still be the most attractive carry currency when adjusting for liquidity and volatility. We maintain the view that MXN is likely to outperform most of its LATAM peers in the coming months, but USD MXN will trade back up to the 24 handle before the end of the year. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Cryptocurrency market news: Bitcoin unstoppable push to $12,000, China piloting digital currency insidious. ntvforex.com news ID 5B12252 2 minutes ago. Here is what you need to know on Friday, August 14, 2020. Markets: BTC USD again failed in the journey to overcome the resistance at $12,000. The bullish leg made it above the resistance at $11,600 but hit the next hurdle at $11,800. At the time of writing, Bitcoin is trading at $11,716. An intraday low at $11,686 marked the end of the bearish leg. However, expected gains above $11,800 continue to delay due to low volatility and trading volume. Read more: NBSP Bitcoin price prediction BTC USD bulls relentless push or gains above $12,000. A confluence detector ETH USD appears to be settling above $400 following a massive breakout from the weekly low at $370. On the upside, a new yearly high has been formed at $433.33, but a retreat has seen Ether explore levels under $420. The price is trading at $422, but ETH USD is in the bullish phase, which means that the mission to hit $500 has potential. Ripple price stepped marginally above 30 cents but immediately retreated to confirm support at $0.2901. The price is trading at $0.2940 amid a building bullish momentum. Support above 30 cents would aid in the push for gains above August highs at $0.3250. Read more. NBSP Ripple Technical Analysis. XRP USD on the verge of a triangle breakout, is 32 cents within reach. Looking at the top 100 cryptocurrencies, some tokens are posting gains regardless of the retreat witnessed on a wider scale. Tron, for instance, is trading 15% higher after a partnership with Wave. Similarly, Waves has surged over 30% to trade at $3.17. The other crypto assets trading higher include Algorand, Lisk, Loopring, and Quantity Chart of the Day. BTC USD Daily Market. The decentralized finance craze continues to rock the cryptocurrency industry, but the skyrocketing Ethereum gas fees is not making things easy for the ecosystem. On Thursday alone, the Ethereum network processed over $6.87 million in fees. In his opinion, the CEO and founder of Synthetix SNX, Kane Warwick, high fees are negatively impacting the growth of DeFi. In the last 3 months, we've gone from an environment where DeFi was expensive to use and a little bit slow, to now, where for a lot of people it is prohibitively expensive. Industry. Now that the Cardano Shelley mainnet is executing as desired, IOHK has started releasing support programs such as the Project Catalyst. According to an announcement from the Input-Output Hong Kong, the first phase of the project, referred to as Fund 1, has been released. Fund 1 is the first exploratory stage in our Project Catalyst governance program for Cardano. Project Catalyst is an exciting experiment in decentralized governance at Cardano Voltaire 1A. In addition, this first stage would be utilized in supporting about 50 community members to put in their vote on proposals regarding business development as well as dApp development. Consequently, the leading cryptocurrency exchange in the US, Coinbase, is looking forward to launching collateralized fiat loans to its customers. The service, set to launch in the fall, will give the users an opportunity to borrow up to 30% of their Bitcoin holdings. Credit limits have been capped at $20,000 and will attract an interest of 8%. According to the head of product at Coinbase, Max Brandsburg, customers may use Bitcoin-backed loans in different ways depending on their financial needs, including for large expenditures like home or car repairs, financing major occasions like a wedding, or helping to manage higher interest personal loans or credit card debt. Regulation. China's Ministry of Commerce has announced the initial launch of the country's digital currency in selected cities. The cities that have been selected to pilot the digital currency include those in the northern Chinese region of Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, eastern region of Yangtze River Delta, a Greater Bay Area around the Pearl River Delta, and some cities in midwestern China. Another recent report talked about some commercial banks carrying out internal testing for the digital currency. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. NZ Finman Robertson wage subsidy extension could cost NZD 1 billion. ntvforex.com news ID 6D2C12 2 minutes ago by Dwani Mehta speaking alongside New Zealand NZ Prime Minister PM Jacinda Ardern on Friday. Finance Minister Grant Robertson said the wage subsidies extension could cost the economy NZD 1 billion. Additional quotes: the criteria and eligibility requirements for the extension to the wage subsidies would be similar to previous criteria. The public health measures were affecting businesses around the country. This includes tourism operators who are expecting visitors from Auckland, companies that supply Auckland businesses, and the hospitality and retail sectors in other parts of the country now operating under Level 2. The latest COVID-19 outbreak was obviously disappointing, especially for businesses that had just got up and running again. We have always said that the best economic response is a strong health response. There is also money remaining in the existing wage subsidy allocation that will help meet the costs of this further extension, he said. The wage subsidies could be available within 5 days. Decisions on that would also be made on Monday. We want everyone to feel confident that if they return a positive test that they will be looked after. We will see businesses going under and jobs lost because of this. That's why the wage subsidy is crucial, so business can survive and people can stay at home. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD forecast down but not out. Bulls well positioned to rally on retail sales analysis. http ntvforex.com news ID 8FCBD 8814-2026 55:32 am. USD has been retreating from the highs as the dollar rises with yields, upbeat data. The US consumer is left, right, and center as the week draws to an end. Friday's 4-hour chart is painting a bullish picture. NBSP time for the pendulum to swing higher again. The US dollar has found its reasons to rise, but that may prove short-lived. NBSP US bond auctions have been playing an outsized role in the greenback's movements this week. After the successful massive 10-year auction, yields dropped and the dollar followed them lower. The 30-year bond auction did not go so well. Investors were unwilling to accept low returns, and the consequent jump in yields sent the greenback higher. NBSP returns on U.S. debt rose also amid falling hopes for a large fiscal package. Republicans and Democrats remain far apart and are hardly talking to each other. One of the points of contention is funding for the U.S. Post Office in face of a potential influx of mail-in ballots. The opposition wants more funds, but President Donald Trump, who voted by mail several times, rejects these calls. The longer the spat continues, the higher the spending needed down the road as the economy struggles. NBSP a better reason for the world's reserve currency to rise is the encouraging drop in initial jobless claims, under 1 million for the first time in 21 weeks. Continuing claims fell under 16 million, another positive development supporting the dollar. NBSP the resilience of America's economy will come to a fresh test on Friday with the all-important U.S. retail sales report for July. After 2 months of sharp rebounds from April's crash, economists expect a slower increase. On the one hand, government support was in full gear last month, yet coronavirus resurgence remained weighed on expenditure. NBSP are expectations too high or too low? An upside surprise could boost the dollar while a small miss could send it down. See NBSP U.S. retail sales July preview. Expectations of moderation may be overstated. U.S. COVID-19 cases have flattened at a high rate of 50,000 per day, while deaths have also stabilized above the 1,000-day mark. Cases are on the rise in the old continent as well, with Spain's daily case count touching 3,000, France reporting over 2,000 infections, and Germany consistently topping the 1,000 cases per day. NBSP nevertheless, the situation is far worse in America. Source FT. The Eurozone publishes an update on gross domestic product for the second quarter, which is expected to confirm a squeeze of 12.1% and unlikely to move markets. NBSP. Apart from U.S. retail sales, the consumer remains in focus with the preliminary release of the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index for August. It is forecast to remain at low levels. NBSP U.S. Consumer Sentiment Preview. Looking ahead, Chinese and American negotiators will meet on Saturday to take stock of the trade agreement. While the world's largest economies have been clashing on a plethora of issues, both are intent on keeping the accord intact. Markets remain calm, but any jitters may boost the safe haven dollar. NBSP. All in all, it may be time for EUR/USD to rise, yet there are many moving parts in play. EUR/USD technical analysis. Euro/dollar is trading above the 50, 100, and 100 simple moving averages on the 4-hour chart once again. An upside momentum is picking up. The relative strength index is balanced, far from overbought conditions. Bulls seem to have gained control. NBSP resistance awaits at around 1.1865, which was the peak on Thursday. It is followed by the 2-year high of January 1915. The next target is 1.20. Immediate support is at the daily low of 1.18, converging with the 50 SMA. It is followed by 1.1750, a support line from last week, and then by 1.17, a double bottom. NBSP more NBSP ETA SA faulty extrapolation to see falling claims as a recovery indicator. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD rebound enough to neutralize the correction. A Commerzbank ntvforex.com news ID 3B03D06 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. USD is trading above 1.18 yet off the highs. The pair is allowing for consolidation in the short term, therefore, Commerzbank's Karen Jones has reduced her short positions. The 1.1646 mark holds the downside while above 1.1915 euros USD would look for the 1.2635 200-month MA. Key quotes: A Euro USD continues to recover near term and this has been enough to neutralize the downside corrective state. The best I can say is that the market is holding sideways at the moment and as a consequence we will reduce our short position. NBSP ADIPs are expected to remain well supported by both the 1.164636 a double Fibo and the 3-month uptrend at 1.1546. This trend line is reinforced by the March high at 1.1495 a NBSPA above January 1915-20. We will just go with the up move and look for further gains to 1.263566, the 200-month MA a NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. New Zealand: the return of COVID-19, possible economic implications. A Westpac ntvforex.com news ID 943873 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. Community transmission of COVID-19 has re-emerged in New Zealand. The government has responded by raising the COVID alert level for Auckland to 3, while the rest of New Zealand is at level 2. Nobody knows how this is going to play out, so economists at Westpac discuss the economic implications of 3 possible outcomes. NBSP CANZD more dovish RBNZ weighs on kiwi AMUFG. Key quotes: A if the alert levels are not raised further, and things return to normal within a couple of weeks, the economic impact will be relatively small. NBSP for each week that Auckland is at level 3 and the rest of New Zealand at level 2, about $300 million of economic activity is foregone. This equates to 0.5% of quarterly GDP. But, during a brief lockdown, a higher proportion of that lost activity would be recouped shortly afterwards, so the actual lasting economic damage would be significantly smaller than this $300 million figure. We would continue to forecast an increase in the unemployment rate from today's 4% to a peak of 7%. If there was another lockdown, there would obviously be another period of curtailed activity, so the September quarter would look similar to June. We estimate that this time, economic activity would rebound very quickly to around 5.5% below our pre-COVID forecast. Our unemployment forecast would peak at about 8% in this alternative scenario, compared to a peak of 7% in our current forecasts. If New Zealand loses control of the virus, that would be a game changer for the economy. If New Zealand goes into another successful lockdown, it will suffer only incremental additional economic damage, whereas if the virus gets out of control the economy would take a much bigger hit. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. EUR/USD nears 1.18 support despite bulls control. NTVForex.com News ID 31CA673 3 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. EUR/USD is trading just above the 1.18 level, which marks the daily low and initial support, while Friday's 4-hour chart is painting a bullish picture. Yohai Elam, an analyst at NTV Forex, notes that resistance is seen at 1.1865. Key quotes: EUR/USD is trading above the 50, 100, and 100 simple moving averages on the 4-hour chart once again. An upside momentum is picking up. The relative strength index is balanced, far from overbought conditions. A resistance awaits at around 1.1865, which was the peak on Thursday. It is followed by the 2-year high of January 1915. The next target is 1.20. Immediate support is at the daily low of 1.18, converging with the 50 SMA. It is followed by 1.1750, a support line from last week, and then by 1.17, a double bottom. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD/JPY once again fails near 107.00 mark, retreats to session low. NTVForex.com News ID C7D40 2 minutes ago by Haresh Menghani. USD/JPY continued with its struggle to make it through the 107.00 mark. The US fiscal impasse undermined the USD and exerted some pressure. The cautious mood benefited the safe haven JPY and added to the selling bias. The USD/JPY pair retreated around 30 pips from the vicinity of multi-week tops and dropped to fresh session lows, around the 106.75 region in the last hour. The pair continued with its struggle to make it through the 107.00 mark and witnessed a modest intraday pullback amid the emergence of some fresh US dollar selling. The impasse over the next round of the U.S. fiscal stimulus overshadowed signs of the U.S. economic recovery and continued exerting some downward pressure on the greenback. Apart from a modest USD weakness, bearish traders further took cues from a fresh leg down in the U.S. Treasury bond yields. This, coupled with the prevalent cautious mood around the equity markets, underpinned the Japanese yen's safe haven status and further contributed to the USD/JPY pair's rejection slide from the 107.00 mark. With Friday's downtick, the pair, for now, seems to have snapped 5 consecutive days of the winning streak. However, it will be prudent to wait for some strong follow-through selling before positioning for any further depreciating move, as the focus now shifts to a crucial weekend meeting between the US and Chinese trade officials. In the meantime, important US macro releases and the broader market risk sentiment will be looked upon for some impetus. Friday's US economic docket highlights the release of monthly retail sales and Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index for August, which might produce meaningful trading opportunities on the last day of the week. Technical levels to watch: USD/JPY overview today, last price 106.76 today, daily change 0.17 today, daily change percent 0.16 today, daily open 106.93 NBSP trends, daily SMA 20 106.12 daily SMA 50 106.86 daily SMA 100 107.24 daily SMA 200 108.14 NBSP levels: previous daily high 107.05, previous daily low 106.56, previous weekly high 106.47, previous weekly low 105.3, previous monthly high 108.16, previous monthly low 104.19, daily Fibonacci 38.2%, 106.87 daily Fibonacci 61.8%, 106.75 daily pivot point S1 106.65 daily. Pivot point S2 106.36 daily, pivot point S3 106.16 daily, pivot point R1 107.13 daily, pivot point R2 107.34 daily, pivot point R3 107.62 NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD many moving parts in play. Time to rise at ntvforex.com. News ID 1D12CD 2 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. The US dollar has found its reasons to rise with yields and upbeat jobs data, but that may prove short-lived. Bulls are well positioned to rally on retail sales, Yohai Elam, an analyst at NTV Forex, informs. kiwi returns on US debt rose also amid falling hopes for a large fiscal package. Republicans and Democrats remain far apart and are hardly talking to each other. One of the points of contention is funding for the U.S. Post Office in face of a potential influx of mail-in ballots. The opposition wants more funds, but President Donald Trump rejects these calls. The longer the spat continues, the higher the spending needed down the road as the economy struggles. A better reason for the world's reserve currency to rise is the encouraging drop in initial jobless claims, under 1 million for the first time in 21 weeks. Continuing claims fell under 16 million, another positive development supporting the dollar. The resilience of America's economy will come to a fresh test on Friday with the all-important U.S. retail sales report for July. After 2 months of sharp rebounds from April's crash, economists expect a slower increase. Are expectations too high or too low? An upside surprise could boost the dollar, while a small miss could send it down. US COVID-19 cases have flattened at a high rate of 50,000 per day, while deaths have also stabilized above the 1,000-day mark. Cases are on the rise in the old continent as well. Nevertheless, the situation is far worse in America. Chinese and American negotiators will meet on Saturday to take stock of the trade agreement. While the world's largest economies have been clashing on a plethora of issues, both are intent on keeping the accord intact. Markets remain calm, but any jitters may boost the safe haven dollar. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD intraday under pressure analysis. http ntvforex.com. News ID BB55178142 2027-2014 AM. USD under pressure. NBSP stay on top of the markets with Swiss Quotia's News Amp analysis. NBSP pivot invalidation 1.1825. Our preference short positions below 1.1825 with targets at 1.1790. Amp 1.1775 in extension. Alternative scenario above 1.1825. Look for further upside with 1.1850. Amp 1.1865 as targets. Comment: as long as the resistance at 1.1825 is not surpassed, the risk of the break below 1.1790 remains high. NBSP GBP USD watch 1.3020 pivot invalidation 1.3080. Our preference short positions below 1.3080 with targets at 1.3040. Amp 1.3020 in extension. Alternative scenario above 1.3080. Look for further upside with 1.3100. Amp 1.3125 as targets. Comment: a break below 1.3040 would trigger a drop towards 1.3020. NBSP USD JPY. The bias remains bullish. Pivot invalidation 106.75. Our preference long positions above 106.75 with targets at 107.05. Amp 107.15 in extension. Alternative scenario below 106.75. Look for further downside with 106.55. Amp 106.40 as targets. Comment: even though a continuation of the consolidation cannot be ruled out, its extent should be limited. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, Text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Gold continues to be a strong winner from the pandemic analysis. http ntvforex.com news ID B69CA5814 2027 am. European markets turned south on Friday, led by a decline in travel and leisure stocks after the UK added France to its 14-day quarantine list. Yesterday, US stocks dipped after a run at the all-time highs failed again. The S&P 500 finished the day down 0.2%. But the Nasdaq eked out a small gain. Asian markets ticked up amid a mixed bag of data and economic indicators, and European stocks slipped in early trade after falling across the board on Thursday. After a decent start to the week, it looks like equity markets are finishing off rather meekly. NBSP, with France being added to the quarantine list for the UK, travel and leisure is under pressure. NBSP shares in IAG, Ryanair, TUI, and EasyJet were all sharply lower, as the move will force a large swathe of cancellations right at the peak of the summer holiday season for one of the largest markets for UK tourists. 500,000 Brits are thought to be in France right now. Related stocks were also hit. WH Smith, a purveyor of overpriced sweets and free Evian, slipped down the board as a result. Apart from the immediate damage this will do at the height of the school holidays and peak summer season, the quarantine decision also underlines the inherent risk you take in booking a holiday abroad right now, which will do nothing for consumer confidence. NBSP US jobless claims fell under 1M for the first time since the pandemic devastated the labor force, but unemployment levels remain exceptionally high, and there remains the fear that too many temporary layoffs will become permanent. Initial unemployment claims dropped to 963K from almost 1.2M a week before, whilst continuing claims fell to 15.5M from more than 16M the previous week. Unemployment fell but remains above 10%, and the twofold worry remains: after the initial resurgence upon reopening, the sustainable pace of recovery is too slow, and that some portion of the labor force is lost forever. The situation in the UK looks even more stark as the life support machine of furlough gets switched off. NBSP later today comes the US retail sales report for July, which are expected to drop back sharply to 2% from 7.5% the prior month, with core 1.3% from 7.3%. A smaller increase in retail sales is expected as pent-up demand drove the unusually high demand in May and June following the collapse in March and April. Going forward, the destruction in the labor market will force consumers to tighten purse strings unless there is free money ad infinitum. On that front, progress is slow to non-existent. Congress has broken up for the summer recess with no fresh stimulus deal in the offing. The improvement in the jobless numbers and apparent improvement in some of the other high-frequency data may make it even less likely that U.S. politicians can agree to a package, particularly with the election starting to dominate thinking. NBSP Chinese retail sales slipped in July, declining 1.1% after a 1.8% drop in June, whilst industrial production rose a solid 4.8%, although this was also short of expectations. The disappointing retail sales number hit the luxury sector this morning but also underscores the weakness in the demand side of the recovery. Eurozone GDP figures later today are expected to confirm a sharp contraction in the second quarter as lockdown measures were in full force. This data is now pretty historic and won't do anything for markets. NBSP gold is holding around $1,950, but the bearish flag on the chart looks like there could be a further corrective move in the long-term uptrend. As US rates seem to be inclined to roll higher, there is a risk of a further downswing. The yield on US 10-year Treasuries are above 0.7% and tips creep higher. NBSP longer term, you would feel that gold continues to be a strong winner from the pandemic. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD CAD intraday turning up analysis http ntvforex.com news ID 543B2E814 2027 2534 AM USD CHF key resistance at 0.9115 NBSP stay on top of the markets with Swissquote S News AMP analysis NBSP pivot invalidation 0.9115 our preference short positions below 0.9115 with targets at 0.9075 amp 0.9060 in extension. Alternative scenario above 0.9115 look for further upside with 0.9140 amp 0.9160 as targets. Comment the upward potential is likely to be limited by the resistance at 0.9115. NBSP USD CAD turning up pivot invalidation 1.3210 our preference long positions above 1.3210 with targets at 1.3240 amp 1.3260 in extension. Alternative scenario below 1.3210 look for further downside with 1.3190 amp 1.3175 as targets. Comment the RSI is bullish and calls for further upside. NBSP AUD 0.7115 US dollars expected pivot invalidation 0.7160 our preference short positions below 0.7160 with targets at 0.7130 amp 0.7115 in extension. Alternative scenario above 0.7160 look for further upside with 0.7180 amp 0.7190 as targets. COMMN to break below 0.7130 would trigger a drop towards 0.7115. NBSP USD try the upside prevails pivot invalidation 7.3180 our preference long positions above 7.3180 with targets at 7.3650 amp 7.4000 in extension. Alternative scenario below 7.3180 look for further downside with 7.2790 amp 7.2500 as targets. Comment the RSI is mixed with a bullish bias. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. WTI drops to $42 amid poor Chinese data-led risk aversion. ntvforex.com news ID 556A5C 9 minutes ago by Dwani made a dour demand outlook, downbeat China's data drag WTI lower. US dollar regains poise amid broad risk aversion. Focus on key US retail sales and rigs count data. WTI futures on NYMEX has come under fresh selling pressure and attacks the $42 level, as risk aversion seeps into the European session and diminishes the demand for the higher-yielding assets such as oil. The black gold faced rejection just shy of the $42.50 level and therefore, the sellers took over control. Despite the latest leg down, the US oil remains on track to book the second straight weekly gain. The sentiment around the barrel of WTI remains weighed down by the dour global demand outlook, projected by OPEC and International Energy Agency IEA in their monthly oil market report. Meanwhile, below forecasts Chinese retail sales and industrial production data suggested that the economic recovery from the coronavirus pandemic is losing steam. China's economic concerns also weighed on oil prices. The Dragon Nation is the world's second biggest oil consumer. Additionally, the renewed demand for the safe haven US dollar amid tepid risk tone also collaborated with the downside in oil. A stronger greenback makes the dollar-denominated oil expensive for foreign buyers. However, the bulls continue to draw support from the drawdown in the US weekly crude stockpiles, which suggested that refiners ramped up production while demand for oil products improved. NBSP markets now look forward to the critical U.S. consumer spending report and rigs count data for the next direction in the prices. WTI technical levels. The black gold's further downside becomes doubtful amid upbeat RSI conditions, which if ignored could propel the south run towards $40.80 and the monthly low near $39.75. Alternatively, the commodity's sustained break of 200-day SMA, $42.85, will have to refresh the monthly high of $43.62 before targeting the February month peak surrounding $44, and Forex analyst, Anil Panchal, explained. WTI additional levels to watch. WTI overview today. Last price 42.06 today. Daily change 0.23 today. Daily change percent 0.54 today. Daily open 42.59 NBSP trends. Daily SMA 2041.55 daily SMA 5040.25 daily SMA 10033.52 daily SMA 20043.04 NBSP levels. Previous daily high 43.08 previous daily low 42.34 previous weekly high 43.62 previous weekly low 39.75 previous monthly high 42.52 previous monthly low 38.73 daily Fibonacci 38.2% 42.62 daily Fibonacci 61.8% 42.8 daily pivot point S1 42.26 daily pivot point S2 41.94 daily pivot point S3 41.53 daily pivot point R1 43 daily pivot point R2 43.4 daily pivot point R3 43.73 NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. US dollar index struggles for direction around 93.30, looks today. NTVforex.com news ID 42C6839 minutes ago by Pablo Piavano. DXY bounces off recent lows and regains the 93.00 mark. US politics and an extra stimulus package remain in center stage. Retail sales, industrial production, flash UMich next on tap. The greenback, in terms of the US dollar index DXY, has managed to reclaim the key 93.00 mark and above at the end of the week, although a clear trend remains absent so far this week. US dollar index looks to politics, risk, data. The index now alternates gains with losses around the 93.3020 band at the end of the week, regaining some composure after Thursday's lows in the sub-93.00 region. Indeed, the dollar keeps looking to the US political scenario, where there are no hints of a probable resumption of talks between Democrats and Republicans regarding a new stimulus bill. In the meantime, the broad risk appetite trends continue to dominate the headlines in the global markets, always against the persistent trade-off between the unremitting coronavirus pandemic second wave already and the progress of the economic reopening. In the US data space, retail sales for the month of July are due, seconded by industrial manufacturing production, capacity utilization, and the preliminary print of the consumer sentiment tracked by the UMich index. What to look for around USD? The index stays on the defensive after being rejected once again from the 94.00 region earlier in the week. Looking at the broader picture, investors remain bearish on the dollar against the usual backdrop of a dovish Fed, the unabated advance of the pandemic and somewhat diminishing momentum in the economic recovery, whereas persistent US-China effervescence appears on the supportive side of the greenback. On another front, the speculative community remained well into the negative territory for yet another week, supporting the view that a serious bearish trend could be shaping up around the dollar. US dollar index relevant levels at the moment: the index is gaining 0.11% at 93.35 and a break above 93.99 weekly high. August 3 would aim for 94.20, 38.2% Fibo of the 2017-2018 drop, and then 96.03, 50% Fibo of the 2017-2018 drop. On the other hand, the next support is located at 92.93 weekly low August 13, followed by 92.52 2020 low August 6, and finally 91.80 monthly low May 18. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, Text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Gold spot intraday bullish bias above 1935.00 analysis http ntvforex.com news ID 292DD8142027 am gold spot bullish bias above 1935.00 NBSP stay on top of the markets with Swissquote S news amp analysis NBSP pivot invalidation 1935.00 our preference long positions above 1935.00 with targets at 1970.00 amp 1995.00 in extension. Alternative scenario below 1935.00 look for further downside with 1920.00 amp 1906.00 as targets. Comment the RSI is mixed with a bullish bias. NBSP silver spot the bias remains bullish pivot invalidation 26.5000 our preference long positions above 26.5000 with targets at 27.9000 amp 28.7000 in extension. Alternative scenario below 26.5000 look for further downside with 25.9000 amp 25.1000 as targets. Comment the RSI is mixed with a bullish bias. NBSP crude oil WTI expect 41.80 pivot invalidation 42.60 our preference short positions below 42.60 with targets at 42.10 amp 41.80 in extension. Alternative scenario above 42.60 look for further upside with 42.95 amp 43.25 as targets. COMMN to break below 42.10 would trigger a drop towards 41.80. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. US dollar in tight range ahead of US retail sales data analysis http ntvforex.com news ID F2439484142027 am the Australian dollar declined slightly as investors reacted to mixed economic data from China. According to the Chinese Statistics Office, the unemployment rate remained unchanged at 5.7% while industrial production remained unchanged at 4.8%. The production data was lower than the 5.1% analysts were expecting. The fixed asset investments dropped by 1.6% in July while house prices rose by 4.8%. These numbers show that the Chinese economy recovery is continuing after it expanded by 5.3% in the second quarter. The euro was little changed during the Asian session ahead of the second preliminary Eurozone GDP numbers. Analysts expect that the Eurozone's economy contracted by 12.1% in the quarter and by 15% on an annualized basis. This decline will be better than the 32% contraction in the US but worse than the 5.3% growth in China. The Statistics Bureau will also release the preliminary employment change data for the second quarter. Other important numbers from Europe will be the French CPI and Portuguese GDP data. NBSP the US dollar is little changed ahead of the important retail sales numbers from the US. Analysts polled by Reuters expect the data to show that retail sales increased by 1.9% in July, which will be lower than the previous growth of 7.5%. They also see the core retail sales rising by 1.3%. Other important numbers from the US will be industrial production, manufacturing production, and Michigan consumer sentiment. These numbers will come a day after the Bureau of Labor Statistics released relatively strong data. The initial jobless claims in the previous week were 963,000 while the continuing jobless claims dropped from the previous 16 million to 15.4 million. NBSP EUR-USD the EUR-USD pair is trading at 1.1807, which is slightly below yesterday's high of 1.1866. On the 4-hour chart, the price is along the 50-day exponential moving averages. It is also slightly above the 100-day EMA. Also, the average true range ATR, which is a good measure of volatility, has dropped to the lowest level since July 21. The price is also between the channels shown in blue below. Therefore, the pair is likely to remain in the current channel today. NBSP AUD/USD. The AUD/USD pair is trading at 0.7142, which is slightly below yesterday's high of 0.7192. On the 4-hour chart, the price is a few pips below the short and medium-term moving averages. Also, it is a few pips above the ascending trend line that is shown in white. The signal and main line of the MACD is slightly below the neutral line. The accumulation and distribution line has moved relatively lower. The pair is likely to remain in the current range. NBSP NZD/USD. The NZD/USD pair declined to an intraday low of 0.6530 during the Asian session. The 4-hour chart shows that the price has formed a triple top pattern since the final week of July. The price is also below the 50-day and 100-day exponential moving averages. Also, the signal and main line of the MACD are below the neutral line. It is also slightly above the August 12 low of 0.6525. Therefore, the pair is likely to continue falling as bears target the next support at 0.6500. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. The US dollar is likely to remain weak. A Charles Schwab NTVForex.com News ID 595D507 minutes ago by NTV Forex team. Economists at Charles Schwab think that the dollar is in for a prolonged decline for the following reasons. The Federal Reserve has shifted to a zero-rate policy. US growth is likely will underperform other major economies due to the coronavirus. Political uncertainty has risen and increasing US budget deficits will need to be financed with foreign capital. Key quotes: The Fed's policy-making arm, the Federal Open Market Committee, has indicated it will hold interest rates near zero for the foreseeable future, with Fed Chair Jerome Powell reinforcing that sentiment when he said members were not even thinking about raising interest rates. Combined with concerns that the US will trail other major economies coming out of the COVID-19 crisis, this has caused the 10-year Treasury yield to decline and converge with other major developed country interest rates, which makes the US dollar less attractive to foreign investors searching for yield. NBSP AEDAS actually the spread of international real interest rates yields adjusted for inflation that is a significant factor affecting currency fluctuations. And while nominal interest rates, such as the 10-year Treasury yield, have fallen to record lows, real interest rates have fallen even further into negative territory. One reason for this is an increase in inflation expectations, fueled by the Fed's intention to let consumer prices overshoot its 2% longer-term target, massive monetary stimulus, and the risk of a feedback cycle of a weaker dollar which can result in higher import prices. Fiscal stimulus spending is resulting in growing US budget deficits that will need foreign financing to fill. With interest rates held down by the Fed and weak growth expectations, a lower dollar will likely be required to entice international investors to buy while the dollar is likely to remain the primary reserve currency. Heightened political uncertainty in the US could make other countries look relatively stable. Barring a renewed crisis, we expect the US dollar to decline over the intermediate term. But investor sentiment on the dollar has become much too dour, in our view, which raises the possibility of a short-term bounce. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. China data fails to inspire Asia analysis. http://ntvforex.com News ID 84E5E5814 2020 7:36:57 AM. The directionless US session overnight appears to be spilling into Asia today. Pre-weekend lethargy seems to be the theme, with China's slew of Tier 1 data releases this morning unable to lift the malaise. It appears that U.S. industrial production and retail sales due this evening, and the hope of developments on stimulus talks from Capitol Hill, are taking precedence over local data. U.S. yields continued to move higher overnight, with the bid-to-cover ratio for the 30-year bond auction relatively weak. The spillover into other markets was nondescript though. The firming of yields was most noticeable in the long end of the curve. However, I suspect this was driven by the impending supply overnight and is not a precursor to a structural change in the curve. The Federal Reserve remains an Uber dove, and we can be 100% sure that they will nip any significant rises in long-term yields, or any yields for that matter, in the bud. China's industrial production and retail sales both underperformed. Industrial production UKwၤ rose 4.80%, 5.1% EXP, but retail sales missed badly, falling by 1.10%, 0.10% EXP. China, having shown a consistent track of improvements since March, will probably be given a grace period this time around. Any fallout was reduced by the PBOC announcing that it will another medium-term lending facility MLF auction on Monday. The amount is undetermined but is likely to roll over the 400 Chinese yuan bio maturing Monday at the very least. The PBOC has been somewhat stingy with liquidity in 2020, conscious of creating even more bubbles in its economy. A low headline number could provoke profit-taking in Chinese equity markets as the new week starts. U.S. retail sales and industrial production are released this evening. The month-on-month data will garner the most attention, giving granularity as to whether the U.S. recovery remains modestly on track, or whether COVID-19 is turning the hopes of the market from a V to a very fat U. Retail sales are expected to rise by 1.90% MOM, with industrial production MOM expected to increase by 3.0%. NBSP Asian equity markets are book profits ahead of the weekend. A directionless session from Wall Street has set up much the same picture in Asia today. Most major indices are drifting each side of unchanged lethargically. The story was much the same in New York, with the S&P 500 falling 0.21%, the Nasdaq rising 0.27%, and the Dow Jones easing 0.29%. In Asia, profit-taking ahead of the weekend has ended the Kospi's 9-day rally, the index falling 1.50% today. Elsewhere though, the picture is much calmer. The Nikkei 225 is unchanged, with the Shanghai Composite, CSI 300 and the Hang Seng down 0.10%. NBSP across the region, Kuala Lumpur has fallen 0.70% ahead of Malaysia GDP at midday, with the Straits Times just 0.10% lower. More dovish noise from RBA Governor Lowe has seen Australian markets rally modestly. The ASX 200 climbing 0.70%, and the All Ordinaries rising 0.40%. I do note that despite all the noise surrounding near record highs etc. on Wall Street, all three major indices are tracing out multi-day tops. They may be butting up against new highs, but none can break through them, notably on the Nasdaq and S&P 500. Adverse developments on the U.S. stimulus front, or weak U.S. data this evening, could be enough to start a downward correction. NBSP. As I stated on Monday, my call for a top in several markets could have made me a hero or a zero by today. With markets in drifting mode today, I am at this stage neither. That does not mean I am out of the game, though. NBSP major currencies continue range trading. The US dollar eased ever so slightly overnight, despite US yields firming. The dollar index fell 0.20% to 93.23, smack in the middle of its one-month range. The same can also be said for the Euro USD, the leader of the great dollar sell-off these past 2 months. It has finished at 1.1810 overnight. The single currency needs to break above January 1920 to signal the next leg of the US dollar sell-off has begun. Conversely, a fall through 1.1700 is an equally powerful signal that a deeper US dollar correction is upon markets. The most vulnerable of the major currencies at this stage appears to be the New Zealand dollar. The return of community-based COVID-19 and an uber-dovish RBNZ this week has knocked the kiwi off its perch. Having traced multiple daily tops out ahead of 0.6700 resistance, the NZD-USD has fallen to 0.6530 today in Asia. A close below 0.6500 this evening heralds a much deeper sell-off into next week. NBSP: if the major currencies' ascent versus the US dollar has stalled and broken down into range trading, the same cannot be said for regional Asia currencies. Except for the Indonesian rupiah, which continues to struggle versus the greenback, most of Asia continues to see consistent strengthening. The USD CNY has fallen to 6.9470 this morning after another firm PBOC fix. While the SGD, MIR, THB, and PHP are all trading near their recent highs against the US dollar. Regional Asia continues to be boosted by investor sentiment regarding the global recovery trade. However, many of them are now entering overbought territory on the relative strength indexes. Although lagging the move into consolidation and possible corrective territory by the major currencies, they will not be immune to negative movements in that space forever, should they occur. Investors should monitor the EUR-USD, particularly if it falls through 1.1700, for a signal that the party has stopped temporarily for regional Asian currencies. NBSP oil heads back into summer doldrums. The rally sparked by the U.S. crude inventory data on Wednesday has fizzled out as fast as it began. Reflecting the sluggish nature of markets elsewhere, oil has given up most of those gains and slipped back into summer doldrum range trading territory. Brent crude eased 0.60% lower to $45 a barrel, and WTI fell 0.50% to $42.30 a barrel. Both contracts are sharply unchanged in Asian trading. Although both contracts continue to consolidate at the upper end of their 2-month trading ranges, they lack the momentum to stage meaningful rallies at this stage. It would appear that oil has fallen off many investors' radars for now, which may explain partially the lack of volatility. NBSP oil's long hot sleepy summer looks set to continue for some time yet. NBSP fast money returns to precious metal longs. Both gold and silver outperformed overnight. Gold rose 2.0% to $1,953.50 an ounce, and silver rose a mighty 7.60% to $27.4800 an ounce. Precious metals completely ignored developments in other markets, notably the firming of U.S. yields. The ranges seen overnight imply that the fast money that was pummeled out of long positions earlier in the week continues to dip its toes back in, establishing new long positions. The nature of the FOMO crowd is that the positioning is not sticky. It will head for the exit door at the first sign of trouble, especially after the emotional onslaught it suffered on Tuesday. Both gold and silver, therefore, are still vulnerable to sharp dips at the first hint of trouble, be it negative headlines or substantial real money flows. NBSP Asian markets are moribund today, with both gold and silver unchanged at midday. Gold has nearby resistance at $1,966 an ounce, with support at $1,913 an ounce, the overnight low. Silver has resistance nearby at $27.7250 an ounce, with support at $25.2800 an ounce, the overnight lows. NBSP: like David Bowie, I was a hero, just for one day, by calling for lower gold and silver this week. Gold's next move is unclear at these levels, with the risks evenly balanced either way in the near term. One thing is absolute, though: the remarkable volatility will continue, and investors will need deep pockets and a strong stomach. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. USD CNH stays focused on 6.9300 AULB http ntv4x.com News ID 3B19 FE 6 minutes ago by Pablo Piovano. Further downside in USD CNH is expected in case 6.9300 is cleared in the near term, noted FX strategists at ULB Group. Key quotes 24, our view our expectation for USD to A weaken to 6.9210 A was wrong as it staged a sharp and rapid rebound after touching a low of 6.9280 overnight high of 6.9530. While the rapid rise has scope to extend higher, any advance is expected to face solid resistance at 6.9600. On the downside, support is at 6.9430 followed by 6.9350 A next 3 weeks A on Tuesday, August 11th, spot at 6.9620. We highlighted that A while USD could still weaken further out, for the next 1 to 2 weeks, USD is likely to consolidate and trade sideways within a 6.9300-6.9800 range. USD is currently holding just above 6.9300 and if there is a New York closing below this relatively strong support level, it would indicate the start of a period of sustained weakness in USD that could lead to a move to 6.9050, possibly even to 6.8850. At this stage, the odds for such a scenario are quite high and only a move back above 6.9700 within these few days would indicate that USD is still trading in a consolidation phase A. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntv4x.com. Travel stocks hit turbulence on new UK quarantine rules analysis http ntv4x.com News ID EC6A42814 2027 am European markets have got off to a weaker start this morning following on from yesterday's negative session, after a similarly cautious Asia session. Shares in Asia managed to finish the week on a broadly positive note with the Nikkei 225 closing at a 5-month high, however it appears that European investors are much more cautious ahead of the restart of this weekend's US-China trade talks. Despite yesterday's declines, the overriding mood remains cautiously upbeat from an economic data point of view, despite the implementation of new quarantine rules by the UK government on travel between France and the Netherlands, which are due to take effect from 4 am Saturday morning. These new measures have had the effect of putting some downward pressure on travel and leisure stocks in early trade this morning, with EasyJet shares, along with IAG, Ryanair, and TUI all slipping back. NBSP also important to remember that for all of the weakness of the last 24 hours that markets here in Europe remain on course for their second successive weekly gain, despite some anxiety about rising infection rates across various parts of Europe, as well as here in the UK. That anxiety about rising infection rates hasn't stopped the UK government from embarking on the next stage of its reopening plan by allowing the reopening of theatres, concert venues, and sports arenas. Bowling alleys and other leisure venues where you can socially distance will also be allowed to reopen, along with beauty salons and spas. In company news, EasyJet shares are lower despite the company confirming the successful conclusion of the sale and leaseback program of 23 aircraft, which has helped generate an extra A608M, on top of the other A1.8 BN which the airline has raised since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. While the airline has further bolstered its balance sheet with this deal, the new quarantine measures announced by the UK government aren't going to be conducive to getting people back onto planes anytime soon. Daimler shares are also slightly lower after the company announced it was paying over $2 billion to US regulators to settle issues with respect to diesel emissions, in the wake of the cheating scandal that broke in 2015, and which saw Volkswagen hit with some eye-watering penalties. NBSP oil prices are also slightly softer, although they still look set to finish the week higher, as gains get tempered over concerns about a weaker demand outlook, particularly around air travel, where future demand expectations have been dialed back. U.S. markets look set to open broadly unchanged ahead of the latest retail sales numbers for July, which are expected to show another monthly gain of 2%, albeit below the levels of the previous 2 months. While expectations are for another positive reading, there is a concern that optimism levels might be a little on the high side, which does raise the possibility we could see a weaker reading than is currently estimated. NBSP fresh from hitting new record highs yesterday. Apple shares will also be in focus after the company was accused of monopoly abuse by Epic Games, makers of the Fortnite game, after the app was removed from the App Store. The company has taken out a lawsuit claiming abuse of power against the US tech giant, and it is hard to argue that the company doesn't have a case. There is rising disquiet amongst app developers that Apple is abusing its position as a marketplace for innovation by charging up to 30% fees, in an area that is becoming an increasingly important revenue earner for the Cupertino giant. The increasingly onerous rules the likes of Apple, as well as Google, place on their app stores is generating increasing disquiet amongst the users of its marketplaces, as well as attracting the attention of US and EU regulators. With Spotify also complaining of Apple's practices in this area, it is hard not to detect a trend that could embolden other brands in respect of Apple's practices, which in turn could force the company to take steps to offset some of these concerns, before regulators force them to do so. Dow Jones is expected to open 10 points lower at 27,886. S&P 500 is expected to open unchanged at 3,373. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Gold trades with modest losses, below $1,950 level. ntvforex.com news ID 14 ad 73 minutes ago by Haresh Menghani. Gold edged lower on Friday amid receding demand for traditional safe haven assets. A combination of factors helped limit any deeper losses, at least for the time being. Investors now eye U.S. macro data for some impetus ahead of the U.S.-China meeting. Gold traded with a mild negative bias through the early European session and was last seen hovering near the lower end of its daily range, around the $1,945 region. The precious metal met with some fresh supply on the last day of the week and eroded a part of the previous day's positive move, albeit lacked any strong follow-through selling. Emerging signs of the U.S. economic recovery, coupled with the latest optimism over a potential vaccine for the highly contagious coronavirus disease, dented the commodity's perceived safe haven status. However, the emergence of some fresh selling around the US dollar, amid the impasse over the next round of the US fiscal stimulus measures, extended some support to the dollar-denominated commodity. The greenback was further pressured by a fresh leg down in the US Treasury bond yields, which further contributed towards limiting any meaningful slide for the non-yielding yellow metal. Market participants now look forward to the U.S. economic docket, highlighting the release of monthly retail sales and Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index for August. The data might influence the USD price dynamics and produce some meaningful trading opportunities. However, the key focus will remain on a crucial weekend meeting between the U.S. and Chinese trade officials. Technical levels to watch. XAU USD overview. Today last price 1948.16, today daily change 5.44, today daily change percent 0.28, today daily open 1953.6. NBSP trends daily SMA 20 1943.84, daily SMA 50 1834.49, daily SMA 100 1765.44, daily SMA 200 1651.94. NBSP levels. Previous daily high 1966.36, previous daily low 1912.94, previous weekly high 2075.32, previous weekly low 1960.67, previous monthly high 1984.8, previous monthly low 1757.7, daily Fibonacci 38.2%, 1945.95, daily Fibonacci 61.8%, 1933.35 daily pivot point S1. 1922.24 daily pivot point S2 1890.88 daily pivot point S3 1868.82 daily pivot point R1 1975.66 daily pivot point R2 1997.72 daily pivot point R3 2029.08 NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Daily Technical and Trading Outlook. A USD JPY Analysis. http ntvforex.com. News ID E1D6818142027 9 AM. NBSP Daily USD JPY Technical Outlook. Last update at August 14, 2020 002 GMT. NBSP Trend Daily Chart Sideways. Daily Indicators turning up 21 HR EMA 106.88 55 HR EMA 106.73 NBSP Trend Hourly Chart Up. Hourly Indicators Bearish Divergences 13 HR RSI 6114 HR DMIVE. NBSP Daily Analysis Consolidation before one more rise. Resistance 107.53 July 20th high 107.28 July 22nd high 107.04 Thursday S2 week high. Support 106.47 previous Aug S high now sup 106.23 Tuesday S Asian high now sup 105.94 Tuesday S New York low USD 106 Japanese yen and 98 sen. DLR swung broadly sideways below WED S2 week high of 107.01 on WED as market attention was on other USD majors. Price edged lower FM 106.92 AUS to 106.57 in Europe and later gained to 107.04 in New York. On the bigger picture, DLR's fall FM 118.66 December 2016 to 2019 low at 104.46 SEP confirms early uptrend FM 2016 29 month bottom at 99.00 has hit a top there. Despite hitting a 312-year bottom of 101.19 in Mar on risk-off trades due to COVID-19 pandemic, DLR's rally to 111.71 due to broad-based USD's strength signals low has been seen. Having said, DLR's dropped to 105.99 June, then subsequent break there in June and sell-off to a 412-month low of 104.19 on last day of June confirms said fall FM 111.71 has resumed. Bullish convergences on daily indicators may keep DLR ABV 103.20 80.9% R. This week's break of 106.47 signals low is made and would extend to 107.53, then 108.16 in late August. Today, despite Thursday's resumption of up move FM Jewel S 104.19 low to 107.04, as this LVL was also accompanied by bearish divergences on hourly oscillators, STRG gain ABV 107.53 is not envisaged and reckon 107.53 should cap upside. Only below 106.4744 signals temporary top is made and risks retracement TWD 105.94. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. The losing momentum of world markets and economic recovery analysis. http ntvforex.com. News ID A5253F814 2028 11:00 AM. The markets returned to caution Friday, which can be explained by the frustration with new Chinese data, but also by the caution of investors after unsuccessful attempts to develop growth in certain markets. Overall, the recovery of the economy and markets is losing momentum. The July data on Chinese industrial production fell short of expectations, maintaining a growth rate of 4.8%. UKv's forecasted acceleration to 5.1%. Industrial production in the first 7 months of this year is 0.4% lower than in the same period a year ago. The retail trade is in worse shape, with July sales falling by 1.1% UKvY. The year-to-date decline is 9.9% compared to the same period of 2019. This is a reflection of consumer uncertainty, which will hurt overall growth rates. However, it is essential to understand that domestic Chinese data rarely has a lasting impact on markets. It can easily be overshadowed by news on trade negotiations, with the next round scheduled for tomorrow. And now, some positive signals are already coming in with more relaxed mutual discussions. Separately, it becomes more difficult for the markets to follow the trends of recent months. Earlier this week, the S&P 500 index was slipping at the approach to historical highs. Before the start of trading in Europe, futures on the index again tried to break through higher. USD faces pressure from sellers as it attempts to grow. Since the end of July, the pressure on the pair is becoming stronger from lower levels. 2 weeks ago, the ongoing decline started near January 1900, last week it starts below 1.1880 and yesterday from 1.1860, forming a downtrend. However, the bears are not able to fully take the upper hand. So far, USD has found support in the declines to 1.1700. Such purchases on recessions indicate that the bulls are still in charge and take their time before launching a new assault. We will only know which side will win the battle, once USD breaks outside the range of 1.1700–1.1900. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Ichimoku Cloud Analysis USD, ETH USD CAD Analysis http ntvforex.com News ID 1AA2338142028 1714 AM USD, a Euro vs US dollar. A Euro USD is trading at 1.1822. The instrument is moving above Ichimoku Cloud, thus indicating an ascending tendency. The markets could indicate that the price may test the Cloud's upside border at 1.1795 and then resume moving upwards to reach January 1925. Another signal in favor of further uptrend will be a rebound from the support level. However, the bullish scenario may be cancelled if the price breaks the Cloud's downside border and fixes below 1.1735. In this case, the pair may continue falling towards 1.1655. NBSP ETH USD, A Ethereum vs US dollar. ETH USD is trading at 420.34. The instrument is moving above Ichimoku Cloud, thus indicating an ascending tendency. The markets could indicate that the price may test Tenkan Sen and Kijun Sen at 410.05 and then resume moving upwards to reach 460.50. Another signal in favor of further uptrend will be a rebound from the support level. However, the bullish scenario may no longer be valid if the price breaks the Cloud's downside border and fixes below 375.05. In this case, the pair may continue falling towards 345.05. NBSP USD CAD, a US dollar vs Canadian dollar. A USD CAD is trading at 1.3210. The instrument is moving below Ichimoku Cloud, thus indicating a descending tendency. The markets could indicate that the price may test the Cloud's downside border at 1.3245 and then resume moving downwards to reach 1.3125. Another signal in favor of further downtrend will be a rebound from the descending channel's upside border. However, the bearish scenario may no longer be valid if the price breaks the Cloud's upside border and fixes above 1.3305. In this case, the pair may continue growing towards 1.3395. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, Text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. SP500 Trade Review 3 different entries to initiate this breakout trade analysis. http ntvforex.com News ID 373836 8/14/2028 15:22 am. Yesterday S&P 500 had a small spread candle with decreasing volume. This could be a sign of supply absorption before the next rally up. A failure below yesterday's low could see S&P 500 to test 3,320 level. Check out the video for a complete walkthrough of the daily market analysis of S&P 500 futures ES for August 14, 2020 trading session. In this video, I am going to show you the market recap on the last session and trade reviews in the 3 minutes time frame, including entry, exit, and the rationale behind. Going forward, I will cover the bias, the key levels to pay attention to, the potential setup for the US session later. Check out my daily market analysis video on last session if you haven't in order to better relate to the market recap and the trade review. Bias: a neutral day trading bullish. Long-term key levels: a resistance 3385, a 3400, support 3360, a 3365, 3320, a 3330, 3300, 3273, 3230. Potential setup: a look for potential long near 3360 upon a rebound. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Murray Math Lines Brent, SP 500 Analysis http ntvforex.com News ID 831FDA 8/14/2028 31:45 am. Brent: as we can see in the H4 chart, Brent is moving above 5.8. In this case, the price is expected to rebound from 6.8 and then resume trading upwards to reach the resistance at 8.8. However, this scenario may no longer be valid if the price breaks 6.8 to the downside. After that, the instrument may continue falling towards the support at 5.8. In the M15 chart, the asset may break the upside line of the Voltaire channel indicator and, as a result, continue the ascending tendency. NBSP S&P 500 in the H4 chart, after breaking 3.8, the index is consolidating. In this case, the asset is expected to continue growing towards the closest resistance at 4.8. However, this scenario may no longer be valid if the price breaks 3.8 to the downside. After that, the instrument may resume falling to reach the support at 2.8. As we can see in the M15 chart, the asset has broken the upside line of the Voltaire channel indicator and, as a result, may continue trading upwards. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Forex technical analysis and forecast majors, equities and commodities analysis http ntvforex.com News ID 2A724C 8/14/2028 27:16 am. Euro USD, a Euro vs US dollar. After finishing another ascending wave at 1.1860 and then reaching 1.1818, Eurust has formed a new consolidation range around the latter level just to break it to the downside and reach 1.1793 right now. It is growing to return to 1.1818 and break it. After that, the instrument may move upwards to break 1.1870 and then continue trading to the upside to reach at least January 1930. However, if the price falls and breaks 1.1780, the market may start another decline with the target at 1.1700. NBSP GBP USD, A Great Britain pound vs US dollar after forming a new consolidation range at 1.3066, breaking it to the upside, and then reaching the target at 1.3127, bust has returned to 1.3045 right now, it is consolidating around 1.3066. If later the price breaks this range to the upside at 1.3095, the market may start a new growth to break 1.3128 and then continue trading upwards to reach 1.3222 if to the downside at 1.3040 resume moving inside the downtrend with the target at 1.2970. NBSP USD RUB, a US dollar vs Russian ruble USD RUB is still consolidating around 73.73 without any particular direction. According to the main scenario, the price is expected to fall to break 72.30 and then continue trading downwards with the short-term target at 70.80. NBSP USD JPY, a US dollar vs Japanese yen USD JPY is consolidating around 106.78. Possibly, today the pair may fall to reach 105.40 and then start another growth towards 106.78. If later the price breaks this range to the downside, the market may form a new descending structure with the target at 105.95. NBSP USD CHF, a US dollar vs Swiss franc USD CHF is still consolidating around 0.9100. If later the price breaks this range to the downside, the market may start a new decline to reach 0.9050 or even 0.9000 if to the upside resume moving upwards with the target at 0.9150 or even 0.9222. NBSP AUD USD, a Australian dollar vs US dollar AUD USD is still consolidating around 0.7155. If later the price breaks this range to the upside at 0.7183, the market may start a new growth to reach 0.7222 if to the downside at 0.7130 resume moving inside the downtrend with the target at 0.7100 or even 0.7070. NBSP Brent after breaking 45.45 to the downside, Brent is expected to correct towards 45.00 and may later grow to break 45.95. After that, the instrument may continue growing with the short-term target at 47.00. NBSP XAU USD, a gold vs US dollar after completing another ascending wave at 1960.60, gold is consolidating below it. If later the price breaks this range to the downside, the market may start a new decline towards 1850.00 if to the upside resume trading upwards with the target at 1980.98 or even 2020.70. NBSP BTC USD, a Bitcoin vs US dollar after finishing the correction at 11,830.00, TKUSD is expected to fall and break 11,400.00 to the downside. After that, the instrument may form a new descending structure towards 11,000.00 or even 10,500.00. However, if the price rebounds from 11,500.00 and then breaks 11,850.00, the market may continue trading upwards with the target at 12,500.00. NBSP S&P 500 after returning to 3,364.0, the S&P index is growing towards 3,395.1. Possibly, the asset may try to reach 3,400.0. Later, the market may start a new correction with the target at 3333.0. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. GBP USD forecast bowling back in business, but sterling has reasons to stay stuck in a dark alley. Analysis http ntvforex.com news ID 2D1 ad 3814 2028 3314 AM GBP USD has been on the back foot due to the US dollar's strength. The UK's gradual reopening may help sterling, but other factors may outweigh this development. NBSP Friday's 4-hour chart is showing that momentum turned to the downside. NBSP casinos, theatres and bowling alleys are among the establishments that will be able to reopen from the weekend in England. That is another step toward returning to normal after the UK suffered the highest death toll in Europe even after reducing the number of mortalities due to a methodology change. NBSP The pound positive development is simultaneously marred by another COVID-19 related announcement. Britain will require all those coming from France, the Netherlands, and several other countries to quarantine. While the announcement was rolled out in a more orderly fashion than the previous decree related to Spain, it has triggered an angry response in Paris. France will reciprocate with a similar measure, causing tourism to suffer in both countries. Britain's move makes sense as cases in its southern neighbour have shot above the UK's source FT. The ongoing pain for sterling comes from prospects for the job market. A Chancellor of the Exchequer Rishi Sunak's statement that many people will lose their jobs is still weighing. NBSP Brexit talks are set to resume on Tuesday, and headlines ahead of the talks may move the pound. However, officials are not expecting any outcomes before autumn. NBSP The dollar has been on the rise as bond yields swung higher again, this time after a less successful debt issuance on Thursday, contrary to Wednesday's robust one. The fiscal impasse in Washington continues, and coronavirus cases have flattened, albeit at a high level. NBSP The greenback gained ground also amid an upbeat jobless claims report. Applications dropped below the 1 million mark for the first time in 21 weeks. A more significant test awaits the economy and markets on Friday. Retail sales for July. Government support kept consumption going in July, but the virus may have kept consumers at their homes. Economists expect a slowdown in the recovery. CNBSP U.S. retail sales July preview. Expectations of moderation may be overstated. The University of Michigan's preliminary consumer sentiment index for August is also of interest and is set to remain stable. CNBSP U.S. Consumer Sentiment Preview. Looking ahead, China said it has fulfilled the Phase 1 trade deal with the USA, a statement coming ahead of high-level talks between the world's largest economies. Despite the deterioration in Sino-American relations, both Washington and Beijing would like trade to flow. NBSP Any surprising clash in trade could boost the safe haven dollar. NBSP GBP USD Technical Analysis. Pound dollar has fallen over the 50 simple moving average on the 4-hour chart, and momentum has turned negative, both bearish signs. Moreover, the recent swing high fell short of the previous one, a lower high, which is another downside driver. Support awaits at the daily low of 1.3048, followed by the stubborn 1.3005, which is the weekly low. Further down, 1.2950 and 1.2905 are eyed. Immediate resistance is at the daily high of 1.3075, followed by the weekly high of 1.3135. Further above, 1.3183 is August's peak. More NBSP ETA a faulty extrapolation to see falling claims as a recovery indicator. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors. Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Top 3 price prediction: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. Ethereum knocks out King Bitcoin. ntvforex.com news ID 277C05. 3 minutes ago, Ethereum surprises on the rise and takes its valuation in Bitcoin to January 2019 levels. King Bitcoin has options for revenge in the short term. Market sentiment chart draws a pattern with negative short-term outlook. Ethereum exploded in the final hours of the American session yesterday, dealing a significant blow in its particular battle against Bitcoin. NBSP technical analysis in previous days had shown the possibility of a bullish extension move, and Ethereum was the first to take that opportunity to break the $400 barrier definitively. The sharp rise in Ethereum has extended to the rest of the altcoin segment, and the crypto board is green today with very significant rises, while Bitcoin is delayed and waiting for its opportunity. Bitcoin now has its chance to respond to Ethereum's attack. The technical indicators in Bitcoin are a few hours behind ETH, and the king could copy Ethereum's move. NBSP, the window of opportunity for Bitcoin is narrow. If Ethereum continues to rise against Bitcoin in the next few hours, the altcoin segment will again lead the market, and the king will be left behind again. The historical sentiment chart on the alternative.me site shows congestion in the 75-80 range, a pattern that led to a sudden drop in the past. The chart covers from the beginning of 2018, i.e. the whole winter crypto, so that it could be different this time. We will see. NBSP ETH-BTC daily chart. The ETH-BTC pair is currently trading at the 0.036 price level and is trying to stay above the price congestion support in today's session. If the upward movement continues, the previous bearish momentum will fade, and Bitcoin could make up for lost ground against Ethereum. Above the current price, the first resistance level is at 0.038, then the second at 0.0387 and the third one at 0.0425. Below the current price, the first support level is at 0.036, then the second at 0.035 and the third one at 0.0332. The MACD on the daily chart undoes the bearish cross, but it must confirm the change in direction in today's session, or it will move downwards. The DMI on the daily chart reflects yesterday's rally, but it is noticeable that the bears have only slightly decreased their strength, which increases the chances of a return to the bearish setup. BTC USD daily chart. The BTC USD pair is currently trading at the price level of $11,697 and seems unable to break out of the price congestion resistance level at $12,000. NBSP above the current price, the first resistance level is at $12,000, then the second at $14,000 and the third one at $17,150. Below the current price, the first support level is at $11,130, then the second at $10,650 and the third one at $9,650. The MACD on the daily chart is losing its downward slope, but is still in a downward cross. The BTC USD pair still has options to move higher as Ethereum has done, but this possibility is decreasing over time. The DMI on the daily chart shows both sides of the market unchanged from previous days. The bulls have not made the typical bearish crossover move to the ADX line, so a bullish move from Bitcoin is very likely. NBSP ETH-USD daily chart. The ETH-USD pair is currently trading at the $423 price level after having peaked at $430 following yesterday's bullish attack. Above the current price, the first resistance level is at $430, then the second at $485 and the third one at $520. Below the current price, the first support level is at $385, then the second at $355 and the third one at $315. The MACD on the daily chart is attempting to undo the previous bearish cross. The DMI on the daily chart shows the rebound from yesterday's rally, highlighting that bears do not respond to price increases by decreasing their trend strength. NBSP XRP USD daily chart. The XRP USD pair is currently trading at $0.2937 and appears to be pausing the upward movement that began yesterday. NBSP above the current price, the first resistance level is at 30 cents, then the second at 32 cents and the third one at 33 cents. Below the current price, the first support level is at $0.289, then the second at 28 cents and the third one at 27 cents. The MACD on the daily chart continues to cross downward, although the moving averages are flattening and could follow Ethereum's example and move higher. The DMI on the daily chart shows a bullish spike while the bears are losing some strength. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors.